Hi everyone, welcome back to Unorthodox Cricket. Now at the moment we're about 6 hours away from the first semi-final between India and New Zealand. And I am absolutely fizzing for this one. The New Zealand boys are going to get up, they're going to put on a massive performance. Guptill's going to score a huge ton and then Trent Boult's going to roll through that Indian top order. Now maybe that's a bit hopeful, but I think that's what us Kiwi fans need in this situation, so I'm praying for all the best. What we're going to do today, guys, is we're going to take a look at the team of the tournament so far based on the statistics. So guys who have come out this World Cup and put the numbers on the board. So we're going to take a look at the team of the tournament based on that. And then secondly, we're going to look at the future stars of the tournament. So guys who have come into this tournament sort of under the age of 25, who have put on good performances, shown a bit of potential. So we'll look at each team and their future stars and just guys that the team should be putting their money, resources and effort into developing for the coming World Cups. So taking a look at the team of the tournament so far, what I've done here is I've based these all on stats, so leading run scorers, leading wicket takers, and then if there's a tie for runs or wickets, then it's gone down to strike rate for the batsmen or economy rate for the bowlers. So for the first 11, we've got Rohit Sharma and David Warner. Pretty clear cut there, they've been so dominant this whole World Cup and just stacked up the runs. Coming in at 3, Shakib, fantastic tournament with both bat and ball, and you can't really ask for more. I've made him captain here purely because he's just really held Bangladesh together with bat and ball. Moving on to the number 4 position, we've needed to push Joe Root down the order. No number 4s have stood up this World Cup whatsoever, so that spot was really lacking. However, I think Joe Root will fit in there just fine. Number 5, Ben Stokes, great tournament, particularly with the bat, but then you also get the additional overs with the ball. Another great year for Mushfiqur. He's been around the game for so long, but he seems to really be developing as a player over the last few years, and that's continued throughout this World Cup. He takes the gloves in this team. Jimmy Neesham, probably the surprise one here. I don't think many people would have picked that, but he's had a couple of good knocks with the bat, and surprisingly enough, he's been very efficient with the ball, both taking wickets and having a good economy rate. Now, one of the young stars of the tournament, young Shaheen Shah Afridi, he's had a great tournament. He started off really slowly, but the impressive thing is here, when he was brought back later into the tournament, he's really stood up and dominated. Moving on down, Mitchell Starc, no surprises there. He dominated the last World Cup. He's continued to do so here, swinging the ball and bowling quickly. Another guy that might have gone under the radar, Lockie Ferguson. Quite a few teams probably didn't know too much about him coming into the tournament, but he's bowled really quickly and he's bounced guys out. And he's really hurried up quite a few top order batsmen. And then finally, Jasprit Bumrah. What can you say about him? He's so effective at the top, takes wickets, and then at the death he comes in and spears in those Yorkers and cleans up the tail. So that's a pretty impressive first 11 there based on stats. All the numbers speak for themselves. I'd highly recommend you check out the stats for the tournament so far. I'll leave a link in the description. And then moving on to the second 11 now. This would be one hell of a game if we could line these two teams up. But at the top of the order, Johnny Bairstow and Aaron Finch. Now these guys were not far off making that first 11 at all. But just purely on the numbers, they've just slipped behind Rohit and Warner, so they take the top order spots for the second 11. Moving on to the number 3 position, Babar Azam. Another great tournament for him. Something to work on for him in the future, maybe upping that strike rate a little, but another fantastic World Cup for him. Into that number 4 position, as we sort of said before, no number 4s have played particularly well this World Cup, so we're going to shunt Kane Williamson in there. And we're also going to give him the captaincy band just because he's carried New Zealand so far in this tournament, and he's hoping he can do the same again tonight against India. Number 5 position, not a lot of runs going on in the number 5 slot, so I've sort of left that blank. If you guys have someone who could fill that slot, let me know in the comments. Moving on to the second 11 wicketkeeper, Alex Carey. He's a guy that's really impressed me this World Cup. I didn't know a lot about him going into it, but he's just so dominant through the covers, and he's also such an aggressive player, so I think he'll be in the Australian team for a while to come now, and it's really good to see they've finally locked in another good wicketkeeper. Now Hardik Pandya coming in at 7. Now he's narrowly missed out in that first 11 to Jimmy Neesham. Neesham had slightly better stats with the bat and also had more wickets at a better economy rate with the ball, so Hardik slips into that 7th spot. Moving down, Jofra Archer, he's had a phenomenal World Cup. He's a real X-factor player. He comes in, bowls gas, and he's just got that knack of taking wickets. Mohammad Amir, a guy who originally wasn't in the World Cup squad, He hadn't played a lot of one-day cricket recently and had been in and out of that Pakistani side. So for him to come back in and do so well was very impressive, and he'll be stoked at how his World Cup went. Number 10, the Fizz. He's been around for a while now, but he's still such a young guy. Bowls with gas, still a little bit of control to be learnt there, but he's going to be a hell of a player for Bangladesh in the future. And then finally, in the number 11 spot, Mohammad Shami. He's only played a few games, but the games he has played have been very dominant. He picked up that hat-trick, and he's fantastic at cleaning out the tail. So they are the two teams, guys. They're pretty impressive teams. I'd love to see how this one would play out. But let me know if you guys have anyone to fill this spot here. But otherwise, I think they're pretty strong teams, and if there's any alterations you'd like to make, also let me know in the comments. So since we've looked at the statistical team of the tournament, let's look at some young guys who have come to this tournament a little bit unexperienced, but who I think have shown a bit of potential and are going to be stars come the next World Cup. So taking a look at Afghanistan, a guy who I thought might show a bit more potential than he has, Zazai at the top of the order for the Afghanistanis. I thought he might come out and dominate a few bowling attacks, but he got figured out pretty quickly. Mujib-ur-Rahman, he's opened the bowling for most of the tournament for Afghanistan, and he just showed what a classy player is. At the age of 19, he's got so much more to develop, and I think he's going to really dominate in the coming World Cups. Same for Rashid Khan. He hasn't probably had the World Cup he was hoping for, but since the England pitches haven't been turning, it's been a little bit different. But I'd also like to see them give him a bit more responsibility with the bat and develop that side of his game. And young Ali Kill, I hope I've said that right, it's a difficult one. He's played a couple of games, he's had a couple of good knocks. At the age of 18, he's definitely worth Afghanistan investing in. Moving on to Bangladesh, Moziddek Hussain, I think he's going to be a great player. Sufarin, he needs to develop both his batting and his bowling. And the Fizz, we've seen how dominant he's already been, and he's still only 22. Australia don't have too much coming through. Alex Carey, you wouldn't say he's young, he's 26, but he has shown potential and he hasn't been around for too long. And the other guy in their squad, Jai Richardson, hasn't really had much of a run. But as for the future, Australia might want to look into developing some younger guys, just so they've got that backbone there when older guys do retire. Now looking at the New Zealand squad, they're all pretty experienced guys. Sodhi's probably one who will probably develop a little bit more. He's 26 now, but I think we all know leg spinners develop a little bit later on in life. And one guy who was unlucky, he was named in the World Cup squad but opted to get his shoulder reconstructed so he can have a longer career. Will Young, he played a few games against Australia A, and I think he scored 3 tons back to back to back. So definitely take a look at him. He's a great player, he's moved up to opening and he's dominated that role, so I wouldn't be surprised if he plays in New Zealand's next one-day series. Young Fernando, absolutely phenomenal. He's had a great World Cup. He's just shown how classy he is, and he's a guy who can potentially carry Sri Lanka forward, along with young Kusal Mendes with the gloves. India, Rishbhar Pant, as we see, is brought late into the tournament, but there's plenty of potential there. Still only 21, and he's also a keeper, so put lots into him, and I think he'll dominate come the next World Cup. Kuldeep Yadav's been there for a while, but he's still young, so he's only going to continue to develop over the next 4 years. And Hardik Pandya, a lot to do with both bat and ball, but he definitely has the ability to be a world-class all-rounder in the future. West Indies have plenty, and I think they are going to be one of the teams to beat in the next World Cup, should everything be put into place. Fabian Allen, Shimron Hetmeyer, Shai Hope, Nicholas Pooran and O'Shane Thomas. What a way to base your team around. There's some real exciting batting in there. Hetmeyer, Hope, Pooran all play their shots, and then Allen can develop into a world-class all-rounder, and Thomas can be an absolute gun with the new ball. Pakistan, Imam ul-Haqi's had a pretty good tournament. He's still young. Shadab Khan, I think he needs more responsibility with the bat, and young Shaheen Shah Afridi, as we've seen. He started off slowly in this tournament, but he's come back strong, and he's going to be a great player in the future. South Africa, Quinton de Kock, he's been around for a while now. He's had a slow World Cup, so I think he's really going to go away, push hard over the next 4 years, and I think he might be the leading run scorer come the next World Cup. Then Aiden Markram, I think he needs to move to the top, give him that opportunity. He looks absolutely solid at the top, so give him that ability, give him that time at the wicket, and I think he'll do wonders for South Africa. And then the bowling of Ngidi and Rabada, we've already seen what they can do, and they're both still so young, so a lot of developing for them to do. England in their World Cup squad, they've only got one of the Curran brothers. I can't remember which one it is. They both seem to do about the same. but I think the Karens will be key for them in the future. But they also need to invest in some young guys coming forward and just build a bit more backbone behind them. So as we can see, a lot of stars, probably too many to go into depth in, but I definitely recommend looking into them. And the next World Cup's going to be exciting. There's some exciting players in there, and I think all the teams are going to be just a little bit stronger and make the tournament a little bit more competitive. But that's all for today, guys. Sorry it's a bit rushed through. There's too many players to get through, but I'd highly recommend you look through some of these players, their stats, and get back to me on who you think might dominate the next World Cup. But as for tonight, I'm absolutely fizzing. Come on the Black Caps, come on Roscoe, Guptill for the ton at the top, and then Trent to roll through the Indians. I'm ever so hopeful, but get on board and back the Black Caps. But thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow.